Cool. Right, episode 9 of the People of Interest podcast. We're back. We've sat down with two former legends of the world of track and field, British track and field, reflecting on their careers. Thankfully today, or luckily today, I'm sat down with the present and, you know, hopefully as well the future of British track and field as well. I'm sat down with the 2022 Commonwealth Gold Medalist in the 4x1 relay, well, part of the team, the 4x1 relay. The 2019 British 100 metre champion as well, which I think that's going to be quite a nice conversation to have about that day as well, actually. On top of that, my guest has also achieved a lot of success in the youth and junior ranks, gaining a silver medal in the 100 metres, and is also a world junior finalist, as well as a South of England 60 metre gold, and a hell of a lot more. When I was going through your Power 10 yesterday, it was just like, I was trying to find the dates and like mix it up and get around. So yeah, Ojie Edoburun's in the building today. How are you, sir? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good, yeah, no, pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Before we get into things today, Jamaica looked like an absolute movie.
Yeah.
For the off season.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was good. It was good. I think the goal, obviously, after having 3 champs to try and get prepared for, was to try and just relax. But it ended up just being like a party holiday. And I had pockets where I relaxed, but in hindsight, I think I probably should have gone to like a smaller island.
I was going to say, of all islands you could have gone to relax, Jamaica.
Yeah, it's not a relaxing. It's not it. No, it's just full on party, drinking.
Yeah.
Which served its purpose to try and detox.
Yeah.
By the time I was done with it, I was like, okay, I need to start training now. This is overkill. Yeah. So it was good. It was good. A good experience.
First time you've been, or?
First time.
Yeah.
First time. I've heard a lot about it. Yeah. I was like, you know what? It's a bucket, not a bucket list, but it's like, it's just one of those things. Okay, I've been. Yeah. And I don't know. I would like to go back, but I'm not in a rush to go back. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah. So we're October now, so kind of off season, breaking into conditioning, winter training.
Yeah.
How's the kind of first week been, and trying to, I guess, forget, or not forget, obviously, but what's been and done in 2022 was absolutely unreal. You know, great, I guess, things that you achieved with the medals, and obviously the gold at the relay as well.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's a case of it's all gone and done. We that's finished, and now we look forward to 2020. How's that been, kind of coming off that year?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I think 2021 obviously was very, very difficult, traumatic year in the sense of coming off the back of 2019. I was sort of like really, really thinking, okay, I'm going to step up now and try and really take over this British sprinting thing. And pandemic, I think, just came at the wrong time. You know, I wasn't obviously, well, the whole world was on standby, so I wasn't really training as hard as I probably should have been. It's hard. It's hindsight. It's great, but in the moment, I don't know. I thought the world was going to end, so wasn't thinking about the Olympics. And yeah, just very, very under conditioned. Didn't really adapt well enough in the winter coming into 2021. Had a knee injury, and a lot of things just didn't really go well. So yeah, it was the worst season. So I think coming into 2022, it was a mixture of, you know, trying to not feel sorry for myself, remembering who I was in 2019. Okay, I'm gonna get back on it, and just trying to just build a foundation heading towards the Olympics to say, okay, cool, I need to get back on track, and it's gonna be a bit of an uphill battle, but okay, I'm ready to absorb it. And I think it was okay. Like, got back into running the 10-0 again, been a bit more consistent. Got my first senior outdoor medal, international anyway, in the Commonwealth, which was a story in itself. And it was good, and I'm grateful. But, and I know maybe I shouldn't have a but I felt like I could have done more. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And though obviously I think it's 50-50, so I'm a bit like, well, there's one half of me that can say, you know what, well, it's better than 2021. But anything was going to be better than 2020. Well, let me not say that, but I ran 10.4. So I'm like, if I ran 10.3, it was better than 2021. Yeah. And then there's a bit of me that still holds myself to where I know I can be, which is being more consistent at running 10.0s, getting under 10 seconds, and, you know, pushing for global finals and trying to establish myself in that final 0 point whatever % of the world I'm trying to get into. And because I haven't done that, I'm still a bit like, you know. So it was good. And yeah, I just have to forget about it. All the ups and downs, I'm like, cool, it was great, but it's done now. This year's new, and I'm sort of targeting new things. So it was a learning year, a growing year. Still growing even now. on and off the track. So that's kind of what I'd say it was like.
It's interesting you mentioned about like that you feel like you shouldn't have a but I guess in my experience of just like seeing you and all the other kind of GB lot, when you have like your post-race interviews, stuff like that, I would be worried, I would be concerned or worried for an athlete that said that there isn't a but, because of just the competitive nature of things. And do you find that because again, I guess it does naturally as like a fan and someone that maybe watches the sport, it's kind of, I guess in some respects, it's kind of like a sound piece. Like we've all heard sometime an athlete in some time say that I need to do better, because that's literally what we're here to do.
Yeah,
like
every
day you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't want to get better, get faster and win. But do you, when you step away from being OG like the athlete away from the cameras and then OG like the man and the individual, particularly over the pandemic as well, where were you kind of like mentally? Yes, mentally, but like when all of a sudden it's just you're not having to turn up, be this character as an athlete and as kind of someone that needs to kind of be like an idol and set responsibilities and kind of examples of, you know, being a high performing individual. All of a sudden, like you've got that time to like process what you've achieved in the sport and things like that. But did that kind of come up for you during that time, the pandemic?
In the pandemic, you know what? It was kind of just like, before that period of time, it was just go. I'm on a mission. I need to prove myself. Previous years before that, it was kind of like transitioning out of the juniors. Everyone's telling me I've got this massive potential, but I'm not fulfilling it. Came off of British Athletics funding. There was a lot of politics going on in that, and I was just being overlooked. And I said, you know, everything was just about, I'm going to show you lot that I've got it. So 2019 for me was just go. I was just riding off of pure, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. So when you're doing that, you're being a good athlete, but you ignore the natural things that are going on in your life, like your mental health, like your emotional development, and all these other things. Is just go. It's robotic. And though I got good success from it, I did slightly feel my life off the track was slightly going downhill a bit. But because the forefront of my mind is getting up, training, recovery, nutrition, onto the next, like everything is just around this project of being the best athlete I can be, I didn't really focus on it that much. So then when everything stopped, I was just faced with a whole heap of things that I just wasn't really my life. That I just wasn't really
the rest of it,
dealing with. And so obviously at the time I was living by myself, and that period of time was very, very isolating, very just depressing. I'm not gonna lie, just depressing. I think everyone will say they kind of felt it, but for me, I think my mental health was just completely crashed. And so yeah, I would say I was more dealing with things off the track and trying to make sense of things and deal with things and whatnot. And I think on the track, again, it kind of gave me a bit more clarity of what I want to get out of the sport. Because again, for so long, I've just been responding to things all my life. I've just been responding to, you know, you started track late, 16 years old. Okay, well, what's the target? Okay, world youth. Okay, what do you want to do? Get a medal. Like, every single year, I'm just responding to what the sport's giving me, as opposed to like, well, why am I doing this sport? What do I actually want to get out of this? Because we put a lot in and you don't always get a lot back. I was talking to a few athletes recently who have fortunately decided they're going to retire at a young age as well. And I'm like, when I hear people say that, I'm always being the first person to say, no, don't, like, keep going. And I was listening to them and I was like, you know what? I understand why you want to stop, because for all you put in, unless you're in that band of athlete, you don't get anything back. Even professional athletes don't always recoup from what they put into a year, let alone someone that hasn't got to that quote unquote professional level yet. So yeah, you're just always responding to what's going on in the sport. And for me, I sat down, like Linford Christie's sort of like my British, I don't want to say the word idol, but that is the go-to.
The gold stand.
Like if I do anything close to what he's done, that's me.
Success.
I'm happy. And I just said, you know what I want to get out of the sport? I won't say all my goals, but I said, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. What do I want people to remember me for when I'm done? What do I hope they can remember me for? And to be honest with you, like one of it is just, okay, I'm from Edmonton, North London. Can I inspire a boy that went to my school from the same demographic, inspire him to say, you know what, he came from the same background as me and he's made something of his life. Even if that boy or girl comes across, I go in their mind for just a split second that makes them say, actually, I'm going to keep on, if it's education, if it's music, fashion, whatever they're doing, that is a big plus. I've already done that, I feel, because I see it in my area. I see the feedback and I'm like, I've already sort of created a pathway. I'm like, people are looking at like, I want to do this athletics thing. Like, it's not just football or whatever. So if I was to stop today, from that perspective, I'm like, you know what? I've contributed. Like, my story has inspired, which is sick. And then on the track, there's still things I'm like, I started having to get bare minimums because, as you get older, look, everyone wants to run 958, but hey, it might not happen. I might not run 958. When I was 16, I thought I could.
All of a sudden, those 2 days worth of DOMs turn into 3 and 4 in it.
I'm under no illusion, and I don't feel no shame in saying it. And I'm a realist first. And I feel like in sport, you're not allowed to be realistic. If you're realistic, people think you're a loser. But you're damaging your mental health, putting yourself somewhere you're never going to be. I want to run 9.4 and I'm going to stop until I run 9.4. But you run 10.2, 10.1. So how I'm always about how is it going to happen? That's my thing. I've had so many coaches over the years tell me, I think you can run 9.8, I think you can run 9. And it's great to hear, but how are we going to do it? I want to hear how, not
what I could.
Because I've done that. I've done that when I was a teenager. I've had the hype. Everyone gassing me up, blowing smoke up my ass, telling me this is going to happen, and it hasn't happened. So I'm like, at this stage in my life, I'm about, how are we going to do it? Do you know what I mean? So I just start having bare minimums now. Like, you know what? If I do X, Y, Z, I'd say, you know what? I'm content. If I overachieve that, I'm like, I had a banging career. I'm at that place with myself now. I'm giving myself 6 or 7 years, 32, 33, and I'm done. And that's how I'm starting to think of track now. It doesn't sound... And I probably will have bits where I inspire as we go on, and we talk and motivational sound bites, whatever. But the reality of it is, like, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and it does take a toll when you're knocking on the door for something and it hasn't happened yet. So what continues to drive you? What continues to spur you on? It can't always just be, I want to prove this person wrong, because life's not about that. So to answer your question, I had time to address my mental health and my emotional side of my life, and also just be very clear about, you know what, like, where do I fit in this world of sport? Because a lot of the time we're like, you should want to go to the Olympics, you should want to be the best in the country, you should want to run these fast times, but why what's so special? Why should I want to do it? Not saying obviously yes I want to do it, but like, I need to have an attachment to this goal, not just like saying it because that's the thing to say. I want to run 9.9, do you run 9.9? 9.9, but like, why not 9.8? Why not 9.7? Why is it just, what does it mean? So now I'm just very much like, I think that's helping me. Because when I'm competing, I'm just trying to compete for me now rather than just chase my own tail.
It's so interesting that you've explained it like that, because I would never, again, this probably just in terms of how sport is fed to us as a whole, that it's just the athletes they're there for the golds, the wins, the first places, and then that's it. And then it's really nice to kind of hear your perspective of that's only a partial part of it. And have you, you've obviously described that you want that external side of things that are outside of the sport, making sure that, young kids are inspired by yourself and maybe all the other things that come with that, like fashion stuff, maybe anything else that you decide to do. And then there's obviously the reason why you do the sport is to win, get goals, stuff like that. Have you, has there been like is it 50-50 split, or do you find that actually one of the sides is more kind of important to you or not, or
The reality is now, the way the sport is going, like this year they've changed the standards from 10.05. Sorry, let me even go back. In 2019 it was 10.10. In the space of 3 years, 4 years, whatever, how long it's been, it's gone a tenth down. Now the standard is 10.00. Forget 10.00. You have to run sub 10 to go to the World Championships, just to stand on the start line in the heats. And you need to be ranked, for us, in the top 32, which is difficult now because of the politics in getting into meets and your agents this and that. It's not just like, you ran fast at open meet, get me a lane. That's not how it works. So there's that going on. That's the reality. Is I have to be at this standard, this, or it's not happening. We can't ignore that. But is that what makes me wake up every morning? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck? Like, sorry, I don't know what to
No,
say.
you go for it, man. Go.
That can't be what's driving me. Who am I doing this for?
Yeah.
I'm going to be some next person who probably has got some pot belly that's never even done sports. Going, this is a standard, and this is what you. Where did you get that from? So I can't wake up every day and like, I'm trying to please this one. It has to be about 50-50 years, trying to adhere to the standard because I want to be the best. But the other part for me is like, I'm trying. My whole thing is to achieve my full potential. That hasn't got a full stop. If it's 10-0, then I've already done it. Sadly, but I hope it's not. But if that's it, that's it. If it's 9-9, it's 9-9. If it's 9-8, it's 9-8. But that's the journey I'm on, and I'm gonna be real about it and say I'm not gonna chase this till I'm 40. Give myself a cut-off point. I'm gonna do everything in my power every day, sacrifice, train, blah blah blah, and just see if I get it. And if I get it, I'm gonna be happy. If I don't, I'm still gonna be better than I was when I started this when I was 16. That young boy that was coming from the ends, and everything that this has taught me and allowed me to develop, and the people I've met and the connections and the networks, like I'm gonna be ready for the next stage of life regardless of whether I become a Olympic champion or not. That's what it's about for me now. But it's not cool to say that because everyone's got this slave mentality towards it. Like, you got to be the best, and I'm going to grind in to be the best. But everyone's getting kicked out in semi-finals. There's only 8 finals.
yeah.
Is this thing you're feeding yourself, is that working for you? Because no one making finals.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying we need to not strive for that. We're all striving for that. But there has to be something else that keeps your fire going.
Yeah, it is getting that fine balance, isn't it? Because I agree with you entirely. Like, that qualifying standard, again, full disclosure, obviously I've never reached that kind of level at all, and I get that, but it doesn't mean that since doing the sport, I don't see that, unlike the US and the Jamaicans, we're not cracking into that a lot of the time. And no disrespect to yourself or anyone else.
It's being real. That's our best. I was talking to someone about this the other day. It was like if we talk, I don't want to get too much into training programs and whatnot, but it's like you'll get the Americans and the Jamaicans, right? They'll get on the circuit and run a 10-0 heavy because they can go to the champs and they can find 2 temps. That's not because they're on drugs. It's because they've learned how to still hit a high standard whilst loaded. It's just science, right? Whereas with some of the European guys, you've met a man. You might have gone 10.05. A man's gone 10.03. Yeah, we're in this. No, because you're tapered off for that. It's a different run, and that's what reflects in the standards. It's like some man might just hit this in their stroke. Yeah, it's part of my, getting the dust off. Another man is like, this is a life's work, and maybe that's just where the chips lie. Maybe that's just as good as you are, because if we start tapping into the journey of someone else, you're going down a hole where you're not going to be able to get out of. I can't tap into. I can see you doing a podcast, and I'm like, well, he's doing a podcast, so why not? But I have no clue what your journey was to get to this chair. So I can't just decide in the present day to just say, well, I'm of this level now. It's like you have to be in touch with what got you there. 2 years ago, you ran in 10.20. Now you're running 10 flat. But you're comparing it to someone that's been doing this since they were 7 years old, and now we've got the best coaches, the best infrastructure in the world, and they're probably just more talented than you. So we can say that. We don't like saying that sometimes. Sometimes I'm just more talented than you. It's not I'm trained harder or whatever. I'm just more talented than you. There's so many dynamics to it. So it's like, yeah, we should be striving for better, and I hope we do. Like, I'm part of it. I want us to be doing that, but it's about understanding, like, you're not gonna make up the gap on what America and Jamaica have built since the 70s in an Olympic cycle. And if we are gonna do that, we need to be a lot more drastic in how we're doing things. People need to come together. Coaches have to talk more. Everyone's like dotted, and it's like, that's not gonna cut it. So, I don't know.
What's helped? Just I guess final point on this, Ojie, as well, because it's just so nice to hear this. I want to read out the post that obviously I saw that I was chatting to you about earlier, and even everything you said there. Of course, the Wi-Fi is not going to load it up now. But okay, but what do you think then is different for you, or what have you tapped into to say, do you know what, like, this I'm comfortable with this? Because again, so I've just got the post up now. So I've worked extremely hard to get myself back to an elite level after arguably the worst 3 years of my career on and off track. I'm happy I'm back in the game and in great shape again, but the reality is I'm not all the way there just yet. As much as I'd love to, it hasn't been possible to erase the effects of the last 3 years in 5 months of racing. Now, what you've described and your mentality now is the exact same as what James said to me as well, in that sense of, I'm not going to kill myself for this. People do, and they're just, it's more negative in the end for them than it is. And then but it's also that conflict of, maybe, again, because as we said, snippeting and chopping this up. Obviously, we're going to only put 20-second bits out, but someone might, take something out completely out of context and just think, Ojie's not asked. You quite clearly are. But what then allows you to kind of say that this mindset is still appropriate and, to my competing level?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's the reason why you have to be... People have to understand as well, okay, the rules of the 100 meters have not changed. From a numerical perspective, technical perspective, strategy, mentality, it is what it is. And the individual tailors themselves to what the requirement of the event is. So, for example, you need to have a good start, you need to have a good transition, you need to have good top end speed, good acceleration, blah, blah, blah. And for me, what I've learned over the years is like, when I overcook things, when I put too much pressure on myself, make it overcomplicated, it becomes like the performance is done. It's not happening. I run best when I'm free. I don't really care about the outcome, and I'm confident in whatever's about to happen. And confidence comes from preparation and training, and blah, 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 blah. So me actually not making it do or die, it might come across as you're not on it, but actually that's actually contributing towards me having a world-class performance. Do you get what I mean? So it's just about being in tune with yourself to know how you need to be. But there's other guys, like I had a few training partners I was with this year who were like really fucking intense, like, let's fucking go. And I was like, oh, like, that's not really how I do things. But if it works for them, cool, because it's all about your makeup. Do you know what I mean? Like your upbringing, your social life, all of these things tailor the way you're gonna be on the track. Like Bolt was always laughing, Gatlin was serious. You have those comparisons all the time. And for me, I've learned over the years, it's like when I'm trying to be like just this robotic, I'm a Spartan, like, yeah, it looks sick, and like guys want to tap into this masculinity of like, yeah, he's just a fucking beast, and that's not me. I don't get it may look like that when I'm running, but that's not the input for the output. Wasn't what you think. It wasn't that, and it's just me getting in tune with that. So yeah, like I'm as I'm getting older, I'm owning that more. I'm like, that's how I see. Like, I need to have other outlets. I need to have creative things I'm pursuing. I need to have social life. Like it's not. There's times where I've run fast. I was clubbing 2 days before. I'm not telling people to do that.
No, I was the exact
I'm
same.
not telling people to do that, but it made me relax. And there's other times where I've been at home, sleeping at 9 p.m. No, man, chat to you next year. I'm on this mission. Yeah. And I ran either the same time or slower.
Unhappy.
So I'm not saying people should go clubbing, but it's about finding things that put you in that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Of like, you know what? I've prepared, so I'm confident. But equally, whatever's about to happen, I'm okay with it, good, bad, or in the middle. You have to get to that. For you to be free and run free, you can't be holding on to what you want to see happen at the finish line because you can't control it. You need to be like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. But that sounds like a loser's mentality. It's like, no, it's not. It's about getting the most out of it. Sprinting is such a...
It's the nature of the sport though, isn't it? It's because like, we do whatever happens. You as a 100-meter runner, me doing the 4. I will not just turn up to training one day, smash out, I don't know, a 54-second run for a 4, and then decide, I'm going to bounce down to a track competition next week and then do a sub 50. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
Like that, no.
And I think that's the thing that people maybe that aren't
hang on
in
to outcomes
track. It's just like, well, I've done all of this. I've
so it has
this.
to happen.
And now, where's my sub 10? Why isn't it happening?
It doesn't work like that, man.
Yeah.
It proper, I've forced it so many times and it just doesn't. Like, there's times this season where like I remember going to the Europeans and I think that kind of influenced the post after. Like I forced it at Europeans. Like I was like, nah, I'm gonna make this happen because I want it to happen. And honestly, it just had a shit start. Ran 10-2, knocked out. And it's like, I'm not saying if I had a better, maybe there could have been physical elements. There's almost so many variables when you're talking about performance. But I know, for example, when I won the British, I was prepared because I'd been there many times before and come up short. So physically, I was prepared. I'd run fast coming in. I had to win that race, or else I wasn't going to the World Champs because I wasn't on funding. So the pressure was immense. Most high pressure race I've ever had in my life because of the context and everything else. But equally, there was a piece of like, well, if I don't, I don't. I'm going to try to, but if I don't, I don't. So it's a sweet balance of just like, yeah, I've ticked every box I can through physical preparation, which makes me confident. And yeah, I'm confident I'm going to win. I want to win. But when you're on the line, it's like, yeah, you're trying to win, but equally, I'm not going to like force the win. Kind of. Do you know what I mean? And then it plays out in how relaxed you are when you run, because you have to be relaxed for let the top speed come out. So they're really intertwined.
Yeah. How was, if you don't mind me asking, when you crossed the line 2019, obviously realised you were first.
Yeah.
What was the? I don't mean say fallout as like it was the worst thing in the world, because obviously it wasn't. You know, British Championship, fantastic. I'm off to Doha, but I was obviously using an example of Dwayne's like 2012. I played that the audio back to him, and you know, again for his reasons, obviously. Like what I asked him, was it a redemption thing? Was it, you know, what was that? Just what overcame you then at that point? For you then, as you've discussed, and maybe we'll touch on like the youth stuff and the junior stuff in a bit anyway to kind of bring this context through. But when you crossed that line on 2019 with the first, what was that for you?
For me, it was just validation to myself because for so many years, like we're talking about, like one of the best teenagers this country's seen in the sprints. And I don't like talking about myself in that way, but it's the truth.
Numbers, though, isn't it?
It's the numbers. It's not my opinion. It's the truth. Like there wasn't a point where I wasn't one of the fastest teenagers in the world. I'm talking about ranked amongst like with Trayvon Bromell and DeGrasse and all what seen. I'm not saying because I was ranked with them as young, I was meant to do what they did, but in company of like some serious guys. And it's always been like I got thrusted into the senior environment straight away. Always been the youngest one there, punching up, swinging out with the senior guys, right? And a lot of it was like, well, we expect him to be doing this in X amount of years. And the thing is, when you first get exposed to the not limelight, but when you first get in the spotlight, I would say, you're on a timer now. So you get success, and it's like, we're waiting now, because if you don't deliver, the next one's up. So I came into the scene 2014, 10-1 when I was 18, and 19, 20, 21, 20. Like you need to become something. And I was still getting success. Like I went to the Olympics, first year out of junior, under 23 champion, British. Like I was edging on, but not enough for what this sport needs. And 2019, I was like, well, 2018, I'd run 10:04, 6.5 indoors, and then completely ruined myself at the British Champs. Like too much, I couldn't handle the pressure. I just couldn't handle it, and I messed up. Went to the Europeans, didn't even get to run in the final at the relay, but I was second fastest in the country that year, or third fastest. So I'm like, how the hell you run 10:0 and you got nothing to show for it? Like that's mind-boggling to me, right? And I remember BBC did an article. They said that was furniture. They described me as furniture. He's like, spare wheel is what I was described as, and I was like, fuck, 10:04, and I'm a spare wheel. Like raw. So and I came off funding, all that shit. So boom, coming to 2019, it was like, you know what? This is about validation for me to prove to myself that I have what it takes to compete with these lot, and some, because I think I'm that good. So when I crossed the line, before that final, I had spoken with my coach a week before, and I said, I think I'd run 10:08 2 weeks before, and I think Zarnell he was jogging 9:9, literally. So I had no right to think I was going to win in it, and I knew I was up against, and I was like, I just think if I'm there at 70 meters, I win. My coach was like, you sure? And I was like, yeah. I know what I'll do in that last 30. So it played out exactly as I thought it was going to play out, which rarely happens. I appreciate it 4 years on it. That rarely happens. And when I crossed the line, it was just like, I knew you could do it. kind of thing. Like I knew you could do it. I knew you were that good. I knew you were good enough for this kind of accolade. I knew you could do it. And then that's when the emotions just came over me. Like, but there were so many times I'm like, yeah, when I win a British, I'm gonna say, fuck you guys. I'm gonna do a Dwayne. I'm gonna do a Dwayne. Like, fuck everyone. But in that moment, like, nah, you ain't got time for that. Like, I was just very vulnerable and just very real in that moment. I was just like an exhale, like, I knew I could do it, kind of thing, you know.
You said a really like interesting point within that as well, is that obviously you've done that junior and youth thing where, because again, I guess like what Mark Lewis Francis is the same, man, Harry AA as well, to be fair. It's tough, like you boys like just absolutely smashed it in these junior and youth things, and all of a sudden, as you said, oh, by the way, OG, seniors now. Cheers, thanks.
Like how?
And is it what the sport needs, as you put it, or do you think sometimes it's what they want, and then as a result from that, your development is kind of hijacked from you a little bit?
Of course it's hijacked. And I think the problem is, like saying today, if you're a junior coming up today, it's a bit easier because there are like really good seniors now. And that's no disrespect to the guys that were there before. But it was like now, you know, you're going to have Reese could make a final. Zarnell could make a final. Nefino could make a final. Like, and do something. So no one's thinking about a junior right now because it's like, nah, the guys are taking care of what they need to take care of. Europeans, man, are just shelling it down. Like Commonwealths, all 3 champs, there was a man that did something. Whereas when I was coming through, it was a transitional phase of like, there hasn't really been a senior that's like really, really killing it. And like, if there is, there's only 2 or 3. And then underneath it's just boom, like nothing. So running the 10-1, it was like, oh, well, this time is good enough to be top 3, top 4 at the British champs. I'll get in there. But, so I think that's why people were just expecting things too soon. But I had this conversation with someone the other day, and it's like, in Jamaica and in America, they have their opportunities to learn in silence. They have the NCAAs, they have high school, high quality, I don't know how to explain it, high quality competition. Yeah. It's in America. You don't see the little low-key races they do. You just see if they make it to nationals or if they don't. So they've learnt their craft from when they finish the juniors right the way through to when they finish under 23s, which is the crucial period, I think, to prepare you for the senior stage. Jamaicans have it with champs and blah, 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 whatever, and then they may go over to NCAAs. Like, they have that period to really, like, figure out the racer they want to be, mentally, training program, like, all of that good stuff. They're learning it away from the scene. And then when they do get presented to us, they're the best of the crop. They've signed a big deal, and it's like, let's go.
Yeah,
smooth. Smooth. With us, it's like, where am I learning it? In the senior race, on the circuit. Like, I'm learning it in front of everyone. So when I'm not, and then that puts pressure on you because you're like, oh, I need to get it right now. Rather than like, if I was in like some next country, right, just racing with high quality guys and no one in the UK could see what I was doing, it would have been better for me because I can just really figure myself out on my own clock. Whereas, like, again, like I said, when you sign a professional deal, quote unquote, you are seen as professional. It's the expectation now. Well, you need to be here in 2 years. Where's the room for growth? And you just have to pray that you have a team around you that have been there before. I've seen your kind come through before. We're gonna take our time with you. Don't worry. And you've got good people in your ear. I'm not saying I had bad people in my ear, but like, it was a first for everyone that was kind of around me, innit? So it was just like, all right, we think you could do this, we think you could do that. And, you know, that's not the way to do it. There's guys that message me even now, oh, what should I do? I'm like, go to America, mate. And it might sound like I'm...
Yeah.
It might sound like I'm betraying the UK scene. I'm not. I'm just saying I know how this shit goes. Like, unless you know you're going to have a really, really, like, precise and catered process to take you from this 17, 18-year-old that's had a one-off performance, because there's a difference between one-off and consistent, big difference. If you don't have a group of people that's going to really guide you through that and not rush you, go to America, mate, and learn there, or else you're in trouble.
Yeah. It's really wild to hear that from you, because I did have a point that I wanted to go through with you, but this was more of a base of like a fan perspective, someone that's interested in the sport, because I think there is an arrogance amongst us as like fans,
Of course.
similar to what it is like the England football team.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like we're
We're
expecting this,
you
but,
to be good.
but what do you mean? Like the last person that has like gone and done an individual 100 at Olympics,
I think
Linford.
it was at Linford. Yeah.
Do you- and I just
33.
Yeah, and
years.
do you, and again for yourself, because it feels like there's just a consistency in people that are amazing at youth. For us, they just plateau. It's not they don't dip horrendously, but it's just what they did that one time at youth is like
That was it.
annoyingly just like the glass ceiling for them.
Yeah.
And then you've got on top of that the noise of
It's pressure.
what's going on here. Like,
because it's not physical.
yeah.
Is it? It's not physical. It can't be physical.
Mm.
If your body at 17, 18,
Yeah.
you can't tell me it's more superior than your body at
Yeah.
20. It's impossible.
Mm.
I just think a lot of it is environment. A lot of it is mismanaged expectations, and I think not respecting the process enough. And I just think, like, for me, I was like, let's say the years where, the year around 10-1, 2016, 2014, the year after that, you'll be shocked if you see the goals I wrote down for that upcoming year. I was like, World Championship standard, British junior record, individual at the World Champs in Beijing. Sorry, mate. You ran 10-16 once in Bedford.
Yeah.
How does that equate to the... I'm not saying I wasn't good enough to do that or had the potential to do that. What development, the development that's required to be at this standard, how are you going to gain that in less than 12 months? How? And I feel like that happens all the time. You get the contract, everyone's blowing smoke up your ass, and you start to place yourself higher.
I believe your own hype kind of thing, yeah.
So I believe my own hype, and I was very hard on myself. Like, I would do things, like, say I ran 10-1 once, and my times after that were all 10-3s. The year after, I had a whole bunch of 10-2s, which is progression and consistency. I just didn't get the outlier performance, but it was a better season overall. Nope, shit. I won the European Junior. No, shit. Year after that, I came fourth at the Olympic trials, which was probably one of the hottest Olympic trials we've had in a while, right? Came fourth, 19. Went to Olympic for the relay. I was pissed that I didn't get 100. And someone might say that's a hungry person, but equally, are you ruining the process because you're thinking so far ahead that you can't appreciate the development happening right now? 2017, same thing. I won the under 23s. I ran the windy sub 10. I ran sub 10 twice in one day, albeit windy. Great development. 10-1 PB'd. I didn't make the world champs. It was a shit year.
It's almost as if you needed, like, from explaining that, as almost you needed like just an anchor on you, even while achieving that, to say, right, OG, great,
And I didn't
but
have
let's
that.
just
I needed
come
someone
down
to say,
again.
listen, mate.
Yeah.
No, but again, was I maybe the easiest person to talk to? I was very confident in myself. Like, no one could tell me. I was like, no, what are you talking about? So maybe people tried and I didn't see it. Maybe.
But is that your fault when it's several years down the line after that success as a junior, when, as you said, it was just like
was a
small
one-off.
things in your ear, like you're going to do this.
Yeah, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of that. And I think, like, I remember going on Twitter and then, like, I see people tweet, yeah, he's gonna break this record. And I'm like, it's hard not to. Your life changes. You're getting money now. Like, you're getting female attention, all this other stuff. Like, this plays a part in how you view yourself and where you think you should be. So I just feel like, again, it's not anything to do with physical, but I think the reason why a lot of guys are not coming through is just because they get too ahead. It's not me trying to be like the granddad saying, you feel to, it's not me doing that. Cause,
Granddad at what, age 26?
you know what I mean? I'm not trying to
What's going on here?
I'm not trying to do that. It's just, you need to be a student of the sport. You need to keep your feet on the ground. And you need to understand that the development required for you to achieve what you want is not going to come in just 1 year. And you take it one step at a time. And I just feel like if people, not just listening to me saying, yeah, man, good advice. No, like, really, really live by it. Like, soak it up. Like, this is how I need to operate. I've had that issue as well. Like, and it's so dumb because I overcame this shit. And then it was like, then I ran 10-0. Okay, I've shifted up now. And I've won the British Champs and I've gone to the World Champs, made the semi-final. I'm like, okay, I'm getting closer. And then I started doing this, well, I expect to be here. I expect to do this. I want to run 9-8. And I did the same thing again. I was like, Ojie, you're doing the same thing again. What are you doing? Slow down.
Yeah.
I need to tick this box of consistency. I need to, like, and now I've taken it back down again. So it's like, it oscillates, like, but it's only going to oscillate if you're not stable in your beliefs. And, like, that's why I'm saying at the beginning, like, I just focus a lot now on, like, where do I see myself and how are we going to make it happen? You know?
just maybe as like a junior athlete or a young'un listening to this, and they're in that kind of talent pool of going to youths and juniors and stuff like that, would you, because obviously how it works with ourselves, obviously that we're at club level and things like that, do you think that, would you, looking back, would you stay with like the club side of stuff? I mean, I don't know how your kind of story worked with things, because my experience of seeing some of the guys that I used to train with who started to do really well, it was almost as if they're like, right, this person's come knocking now. Like if it was a British athletics coach, someone's just come knocking, you know, quite high quality. And I would always look at it and just be like, why are you trying to fix what isn't broken yet? Because like, again, if I ever got to that kind of stand or started knocking on that door, the last thing I'm doing is telling my coach who I've been with for donkeys now, see you later, cheers, thanks, because everyone's come knocking now. That, again, just personally for me. But that, again, I guess I've had my own journey going through like this sport and stuff like that. Would you say that people come knocking too soon, or, and you know, if there's a junior that's maybe there and it's like all the glitz and glamour of that coach, but my coach right now has got me to this, so it's about
it's case to case, it's case by case. So like, say for example with Adidas, for example, and Nike do this as well, most brands, they'll have like a branded coach. So when you sign the deal, most of the time they'll say, well, if you did this with this, imagine what you'll do when you've got this. Then they'll push you onto that coach, and then sometimes you see the athlete, you'll never see them again. Right? And there's other times where actually it's a house on fire and they go off. So that's why I say it's case by case. But specifically talking in the UK, like, because this sport doesn't behave like a professional sport, this is why there's these blurred lines between the use of a club coach with a professional coach and a uni coach and a this coach. Like, where is the hierarchy? There isn't one, right? Everyone just thinks they're the shit, which I think is a problem. So for me, I feel like when you start off, you've got your grassroots that you'll do, maybe primary school, whatever, club coach to whatever. You know what? There is an art in just saying, this is what I'm good at. And I think I'm going to create two sides of the argument. So there's some people, they are only good at coaching people up until they're 12 years old. And after that, they have no clue what they're doing. That doesn't mean you're a shit coach. That means you are excellent at preparing people for their adolescence. Sick. But everybody wants to be the coach that has the champion. And that's the problem. And then you have the club coaches, right? Sick. Like, I had a club coach, Eddie Stevens. Big up Eddie Stevens. He's responsible for bare of us coming out of North London. And I remember when we got to 16 at English school, I think I'd run like 1091 when I was under 17, and maybe I was like 12th in the country. And he was like, "There's this college in St Albans called Oaklands. You could do your education there. You need Cockney accent. You could do your education there. You know, train." Like, you live on campus. Like, if you guys want to go, go. And we, obviously, for me being young, I was like, you know what? I want to get out of the house. I want to explore. Blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I want to get out of the ends. You know what I mean? And like, Eddie was so. I thank Eddie for that so much, because he understood. Listen, I've done what I can with these guys. This is where I've got them to. It's time for someone else to help them out. And that humility was so sick. And that's the reason why I got to where I am now. But if Eddie just held on to me and dragged me down and said, no, stay at the club level, was like, I might not have been able to fulfill my potential. And then there's other examples, right? And then, sorry, let me finish this chain of progression. Then you have people that are just good at coaching juniors, and that's okay. And then some people that are just good at coaching adults, and that's okay. I think everybody's got to know their pocket. You have that at club level in football, like under 15s. Like, you don't have flipping Arteta coaching everyone. You have tiers. That's how life goes. And I'll give you the other side of it, where there are some people who, like, say Dina Asher Smith, for example. She's been with John Blackie. Someone might class him as what are you going to class him as? This is where I say professionalism, right? Is he a professional, world-beating, world champion coach, or is he a club coach? Because he's done both. What are we going to call him? But that's not really the point. But she's been with him all her life, right? To what I know. Sick. But this is, in my opinion, and I can't speak for her, but what I think they've done well is that as each year they've progressed, they've added things to the setup to make it evolve appropriately with where she's going. If it's biomech, nutrition, this, that. They haven't just said, we're gonna stick to the 2 nights a week, and but that's the problem. What a lot of coaches do. But not just stick to this. We'll train Tuesday and Thursdays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and it's like you're disrespecting what is required to be world class. So, in all, I'm saying there are some people that just need to know what they're good at.
It just sounds like with her camp, that to me just sounds like there is open dialogue.
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, it's just right, Dina, we've done this. What are you thinking? Let's add da 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 da.
Yeah,
and that. Yeah, as you said.
But does everyone do that? And no, in fact, they don't all do that, because if they did, everyone would be really good. So there are some people, that maybe they leave their coach too soon. Sometimes simple is better. Cool. But equally, if you are going to stay with that coach, you have to understand it can't just stay as it was when you were 16. It has to evolve. Everything has to, even at a professional level. You can't just do the same program every year. It always has to evolve and tweak and respond to who the athlete is in front of you. What I needed in 2018, I need something else now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think we pay attention to that enough. So I think that's where the issues come in and people start to poaching. You poach my athlete, and it's like all of that shit wouldn't be there if people just had more honest conversations and just said, actually, you know, what does this athlete need? Because that's what it's about, the athlete at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the questions that you put that thing out on your Instagram to get a few questions from someone. Someone asked a really nice one about just in terms of like finding the right endorsements. Yeah. Because I hate our sport purely for the reason that this story that you've taken me through today and the story that I've spoken to with James, with Dwayne so far and stuff like that, they're phenomenal. They're great. But through no fault of the people that I'm about to mention, but we don't hear narratives like this unless we're like, you know, British athletic sweetheart like Jess Ennis was 2012, you know, Mo and Greg and stuff like that. It's a shame because as I was saying to you earlier, is that without that, you yourself and other athletes, because we only get that kind of TV time, I guess, like every Olympic cycle, you're seen probably like once every 4 years, but there's new generations coming through. But we know that the new ones that have come through, they've been there for a hot minute, just like you've been around for a hot minute, but people don't really seem to see that. So then linking that into when you have done it right, endorsement stuff, money's coming in, things like that. Yeah. Where do you kind of make the decision on things like that, and how do you choose the right ones for you, or are they just sign this?
I think the problem is that there is a structural problem in what the sport is giving us, and then there is also an athlete problem. So there's two things going on. So I'll talk about those two things, and then I'll talk about what I'm trying to do, and then blah, blah, blah. So like, with the structure, the problem is visibility, right? You can't just have indoor and outdoor championships, 1 or 2 diamond leagues, and the championships on BBC, and then that's it for the year. There has to be more events so people see us more, because the more you see someone, the more you can follow their story, the more you support them. This is just human interactions, yeah? Forget the intricacies of athletics for a second. And I feel like the problem is we don't create anticipation. So when an event happens, no one knows it's happening. When it does happen, unless you win, you're only gonna get a little time when you say hello to the cameras, and everyone starts doing all this wacky, weird shit because you're so desperate, because you only got 10 seconds on camera. And then when your race is done, you're standing in a TV thing, looking at the screen for ages. You know what the result is. You're just trying to get some TV time. Yeah. All these things are there, and it's like that is not building the support system and like the fan base for the sport at all, because it's so condensed, and we're still catering to this middle-aged, middle-class community that was there in the 80s and 90s, but the world is different now. So I think the problem is there isn't enough events, and from what there is, it's a very kind of like we've only got 2 or 3 names that we're gonna push, and everyone else is everyone else. But like, there's so much more going on, and even those 3 names that do get pushed, your route to getting there is exceptional success that you can't be denied, or you have to fit the stereotype that is easy for them to push to their middle-aged, middle-class demographic. That is well-spoken, well-educated. You come from a nice area. You're just so happy to be here. You didn't expect any of this to happen, even though you trained for it for a fucking year. So you did expect it to happen. And if you're, and I don't want to get into race and class and all this stuff, but like,
but bro, let's not beat around the
If
bush.
you-
Every 100
if you
meter
come
final, I'm not being funny.
if you come from Edmonton, North London, you come from a poor background.
Yeah.
You've grown up amongst madness.
Yeah.
Compared to a sweetheart
Yeah.
who's from, I don't even know what area to say, like some nice posh area.
Yeah.
You don't have the same story.
Yeah.
So why is there not platforms for all types of walks of this thing?
But the thing,
And the problem is with the sprints anyway.
Yeah.
Most of us come from that.
Yeah, and the underdog stories are the best ones.
Yeah. So it's like they only create it to where that gets pushed.
Yeah.
But then what about everyone else? So structurally, there's an issue, and I do think we need to follow. We need to, when we're trying, we're expecting a football fan base, but not pushing the same content with the amount of ferocity as football. There's games every week.
Yeah.
How many people have made a living from football?
Yeah.
AFTV, this one, that one, and there's so much media. It's stuffed
Yeah.
with media. So you will figure out how, like, who you're going to support straight away.
Yeah.
Athletics doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But we as fans and as athletes expect the same reception that football gets. It's not just because football is the best sport in the country, but like they pump that. You can't not hear about football every week.
Yeah.
So one, structural problem, cool. From an athlete perspective, we're not responding to the reality of the structural issue good enough. All we do is complain. We don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this. Okay, cool. How does a boxer get fans? It's solely self-promotion.
Yeah.
You can't say it's Sky or it's BBC. It's so, like, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Anthony Joshua, all these guys are individuals like us, which I love the parallels between boxing and athletics. It's helped me with marketing a lot. They sell themselves. That whether that be through your personality, your social media, your marketing, like you literally create the buzz for yourself, and that's how they've managed to make their currency as high as it's been. Of course, coupled with success, but they've got the buzz going themselves. And I think a lot of us are waiting to get this, where we've got this thing of like, well, when I do well, everything's gonna come clicking together, and it doesn't work like that. Like, if you're already creating that buzz for yourself, when you do well, everything's just gonna be amplified. Whereas there are some people who then complain, well, I'm not getting what this, but why is this person hasn't made a team, or this person hasn't done that, and why have they got more than me? Because they're pushing their brand. That's the world we're in. It's not just about, did you get a gold medal? Because a local person in the street, what does this medal mean in the grand scheme of things? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm pushing my story every single day, you know what it means to me because you followed my journey.
Yeah.
So it moves me on to like what I think we need to do more of. I think athletes need to not be afraid to be themselves. For so many years, it's like you get, especially with like black athletes I know, like with the minute you get your breakout moment, what do you see on the interview? Cockney accent. Why?
Yeah.
You don't talk like that, bro. Your mum and dad don't. I've done it. I'm not gonna cuss. I've done that.
Yeah.
I remember my first time going to see, I was like putting us in the best Queen's
every
English.
letter of your
I'm
syllable
just
in the
so
world.
grateful and flabbergasted by everything, and it's like, you don't talk like that. Why is the socialization that when I get in front of the camera and mainstream media, I need to present this way? And they're not going to change what they expect the black athlete to be. The minute you do something that is just you, it's troublesome. Blah, 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 all those things come with it. So we're not getting shit from the sport in it. In terms of like marketing and boosting our brand. They're not boosting our brand at all. So you got a moment's got to come and you say, well, fuck it. I'm just going to just be me and the world is going to fuck with it. And then eventually these lot are going to realize that, oh, we need to tap into what the athletes are doing. It needs to be the other way around as opposed to us waiting for them to do something for us. And then that TikTok, YouTube, not saying be an influencer, but you start to use resources that are free most of the time and create the brand that you want. Then the brands come to you. If you're like Jodie Williams does it sick. Like she loves coffee, right? And now she's got partnerships with coffee companies. That has nothing to do with mainstream athletics at all. Yeah. Right? She created that buzz for herself. And we need to start doing more of that. And it's sad because we shouldn't, but it is what it is. Like this is a sport we signed up for. They're not helping to push anything. So we have to create that buzz ourselves. And when we do perform, we've got this whole community that you've created yourself that are here following. You're bringing new energy to the sport, and then you dictate what's going on next, as opposed to I'm waiting on World Athletics, British Athletics, whatever, to give me my flowers. They won't. They won't. You know?
Does it? I completely agree with you on that. I completely appreciate everything you said. That I wouldn't challenge any of it whatsoever, I guess. But from the only thing that I would say is that an individual like James, who I've spoken to, that's done that and stayed true to himself 110%. Again, I can appreciate maybe it wasn't always in the right setting, but he was so authentically him when I spoke to him, and him telling me what he went through and how he dealt with it. Then it seems like that robbed people up the wrong way, which put even more barriers in, which is a shame because it almost feels as if that's the case, and then you talking about you guys developing yourselves, is that it still has to be done in certain parameters. Whereas
you've got to push through that though.
Whereas we know, again, like these kind of medias, what we know with using socials and stuff is just that, no, like, watch this, let it happen, and let us do it. But then, like, they're like, well, no, and if you don't shut up, then, or if you don't stop doing this, then this is going to happen.
But you know what? It's about everything's about strategy, everything's about time and place, and it's about being free. I say being free in the sense of, if you know you're signed up to British Athletics funding, for example, and all you do is bash British Athletics funding, then you either got to shut up because you're with them, or if you know that you're not happy with it, then don't be with them, and then you can do whatever you want. So a lot of it, that's the first thing. In terms of strategy and time and place, I mean, if I was marketing James, what I would have done is like, cool, you are outspoken, you go against the grain, and you say it as it is. Okay, cool. We need a medium for you. We need a platform for you where you can get this off, and this is now part of your brand. If that was a podcast, if that was a YouTube channel where it's like, this is just how James is. Now all of a sudden, when you're looking for partnerships, you're looking at brands and organizations and whatnot that are in line with that kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm an activist, and not in a gimmicky way, but it's like, that's the direction you're going down. Like, I'm someone that's gonna call things out when I see it. If something's wrong, it's wrong. And you know what would have happened? He still would have probably got the same. Response and pushback, because that always happens when you're the first, naturally. But then the next person who is exactly like James is gonna say, "Well, I want to do that," and push it on a bit further, and then you get to 2025, and it's like, there's a lane for that. Yeah, that's how things work. But I think the problem was, and this is where athletes have to take responsibility. Where you see athletes like that, we don't support things enough. We just favorite it. We'll favorite the tweet silently. We'll favorite it. We won't retweet. We won't reply by saying, "Yeah, I agree."
Silent cosign, innit?
Silent cosign. Behind the scenes, we'll call, "Yeah, man, I agree with that. But chatting shit." But publicly, and I've done it sometimes. I'll be honest, because you want to protect your brand. But again, as I'm getting older, I'm like, what brand are you protecting? There is no brand, because you didn't do nothing for you. So you might as well just be you, because you're not getting anywhere anyway. So you might as well be yourself and know that you're doing it your way. So I rate what James was doing. I just feel like if he structured it a little bit better, then I feel like it would have been like, he would have really shaken things up. Yeah, I think that's why I say things are just about strategy, man. Like, the message doesn't have to get lost. Yeah, it's just strategy to really, really shake things up, you know. But I've always had love for James in terms of him just being that guy.
Bro, he honestly, he is just a human being. Like, I remember when I started athletics, I must have been like 2008, I think, and Daegu was when I first remember him. He was at Daegu, and I think it was a relay leg that he done. It was either that or a diamond league, and then he got a bit of camera time afterwards. I was like, this guy's just it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was finally like, and then I remember tweeting him a few times. I was younger as well, like asking if he's gonna be at Lee Valley during Southerns, because I was a neek, and then he'd always reply, be like, "Yeah, mate, yeah, see you there." But it's just, I get what you're saying in terms of like you're just kind of boxed in, and you're maybe in this culture of thinking that you're boxed in, and then over time you're like, actually, what am I?
That doesn't exist. Again, if I was a footballer, knowing I'm getting 100 grand a week, I'm in a space that I need to benefit from this, so I'm gonna get in line because I need to feed my family, I need to enhance myself, blah blah blah. fair enough. And you see it with footballers, they don't really say much, right?
Mm.
But athletics is not a springboard as it used to be.
Mm.
It may become a springboard in the future if things are done correctly, and we start to take advantage of this new audience that is emerging. Like I've seen on TikTok, like the new generation does like the raw element of running. So it just depends on what the higher ups do with this new audience, right? But as it is currently, it's just blue eyes, blonde hair, kind of energy, right?
Yeah.
That's what the core of athletics is about. So I'm like, boy,
it's not the core reflection
of
its athletes,
of us. Like most of us are black from these communities, and we don't resonate to that stuff. So we need to start creating our own subcultures that praise that. And over time, it's like, well, I'm not, because reality is, if I run fast enough, I'm on the team. You can't not pick me because of my views. If I'm fast enough, I'm on the team.
It's numbers.
So there's responsibility on the athlete, and that, you know what?
If
you know that you're looking for a political relay pick, then shut your mouth and play the game, innit? But if you're like, bruv, if I run fast, I'm on the team, shut your mouth. Then I don't care. I could turn around and say, I hate you every day of the year. If I go to British Champs and I've got the time and I come first place, there's nothing you could tell me. You can't revoke my place because of that. So, I just think we have to be not scared to just say, you know what, this is how I feel, this is what I want to show, and I'm not going to do this gimmicky stuff no more. So,
I guess coming in now, we've only got probably about half an hour left and things, but the future now, I didn't want to research any kind of questions for this, because then I think it then just solidifies and kind of just gives us in like this blinkered view of what your future is going to look like. So as a whole, coming into this year now, we're on the off season, starting to get the conditioning in, and the cycle begins again. Has the future for you, maybe if it's just looking at this 12 months, if it's 2 years or even 10 years from now, what is there anything different coming into this year and moving forward that we're applying to life that has kind of come out of the discussions we've had since like the pandemic and 2019?
I'm definitely a lot more like centered, I'd say, going into this year. So from a track perspective, I think I've been coached by the best coaches this country has to offer. Seen their strategies, what they're good at, what they're not good at, tried it. Some things have worked, some things haven't worked. I've got like a real good menu now of things that have and haven't worked. So going into this winter, I'm just trying to be really simple this time around and just say, you know what, this is what Ojie needs, because this is what he does. This is what Ojie's not good at. We need to work on this and everything else in between. So coming into this year, it's just more about like simple, repeatable strategies to get success. Nothing special, nothing sexy. Just this is what needs to get done to try and boost your chances of getting this result when you are in a semi-final at the World Champs. You need to run sub 10 in that race, or else you're not going to make the final. So working back from that, what can I do to boost? I'm not saying it's going to happen, I don't know, but boost my chances of that outcome. And that's kind of just where I'm at right now. Like, it's sad, but like every year that goes on, when you don't get your goal, you get a bit less excited naturally. So you have to find different things that are going to keep that fire burning. And for me, I think the fire that's there now is about like executing the process in terms of like finding okay, this is the right recipe for me. That's what's burning me, as opposed to like, I can't wait to just run something. Like, I've been saying it for so many years, I don't want to say it anymore. Like, I want to run something. I'm like, yeah, I do. Of course I do. If you cut me up, you'll see that's what I want to do. But I can't be bothered to talk about it anymore, because it's just like, that's not getting me closer to the goal. So that's on track. Off track, I'd say I've realized that I'm a very creative person, and I've realized that having creativity in my life, it needs to be in there a lot more than I think, to keep me balanced, to actually keep me going, to keep me, it's my petrol. Do you know what I mean? So even the conversations we've had today, like, I'm working on a lot of things behind the scenes at the moment.
Yeah, you need to start adding to your YouTube channel again, bro. I looked for a few bits and it was so
like
good.
I'm working on building a company, building a brand that fills the void that we are complaining about right now, and not just for my own hobby, but just to like actually, like, I'm trying to go into these corporate rooms. I'm trying to not shake things up, but I'm trying to really step there with some stuff that we can do to change the economy in athletics. And that's motivating me, and that's kind of pushing me towards thinking about you know, when I retire, that's what I want to pursue and whatnot. But I've got to start now. Do you know what I mean? And before I was kind of like, no, I just want to dedicate all my years to sport and then do that after. But no, they go hand in hand. Because when I retire, no one's going to care about me anymore. So I'm not going to have the same, you know, feel that I've got now. People care, they want to talk now because you're doing what? That's just how the world works. So I'm trying to just take advantage of that and build something that 10, 15 years from now, I'll be really proud of. So that's like long term, short term and everything else. And I'm just, like I said, I'm trying to get towards my goals. But as I'm getting older and you're trying to handle, I won't say trauma because it's a bit dramatic, but trying to handle the fallout of what's left of me when I don't do well. You're less inspired naturally. I know it sounds good to say, no, you know, don't be deterred. Yeah, have perseverance and persistence. But that kind of like innocent feel you have when you first start, it's not the same 10 years in. It's not. Yeah. So I'm just trying to find new ways to just still chase after my goals and not let it sort of fade out and say to myself, I'm never going to get there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just want to go on one point as well that you mentioned in all of that, in terms of we've removed the special and the sexy stuff. Yeah. And the complexity. Again, maybe for like any junior that does listen to this or youth one, when you've been exposed to special and sexy, has it ever changed anything dramatically, do you think?
No. Because if any coaches did try to do that, what was retained was the simple. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all the gadgety, fancy stuff was just more for show. But what stuck with me in my head was the basics of my technique, not the intricacies of foot placement and this and have your arm, just like, you know, understanding how you need to start, and just like being very comfortable competing. Because the race is to try and get there before someone else, innit? So the sexy stuff. But I'm also a big fan of the intricacies of the sport. So I can get down with them kind of conversations, like your biomech type stuff. Like I'm really deep on that stuff as well. But it didn't help my performance. It hinders my performance because when I'm on the start line, I know so much. I'm overthinking because I know what perfect is meant to be. And I'm like, boys, this ain't perfect. So I'm like, so I'm like, that's actually, knowing so much is a hindrance now. Okay. And now I'm like, whatever I do hold on to, it's because I know this is 100% pure and effective for me. And everything else, yeah, it's good to look at, but I've just learned I've learned to understand what to take with me and what to leave as I've gotten older. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's trying to sell products these days and be a new guru, speed guru and all this shit, but the basis of the sport don't change. And once you know that, then you know what to look for and what to ignore.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's quite a nice point to kind of maybe just finish up on, is just even with everything that comes with all of a sudden running those times, you're literally still going back to the things you were doing that have been doing for what, near enough 10 years now, right?
This has been the 10th year in the sport. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Ojie, mate, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
No worries, bro. Cool. Nice to be here.
Cheers, man. Woo.
Sick.
That's us. Thank you, mate.
No worries,
that was great. Thank you.